because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. That's just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Carrarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma! Welcome to another episode of Speaking Serie B. Cittadella lost, Spezia lost, and Pisa just keeps on winning. And Sassuolo drew. So it's some interesting results that we will be talking about in today's episodes. To discover which episode are we on, let's introduce the co-host, the man of the numbers, Jake Iovine of Città Calcio USA. What episode are we on, Jake?
We are 26th episode here, so almost to 30. We are more than halfway to 50. And I got to say, I like the new intro song during the countdown. It was a different song than last time. It
is. As StreamYard every now and then updates things without letting us know. So as consumer, we are doomed to use whatever they decide. So they did change. Is it the same? It's the same countdown. They just changed the song. I don't know why. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad you like it.
Interesting to say the least. And I'm gonna mention one name that we both know about is Filippo Pittarello. Obviously Spezia was interested in buying him
right
a few months ago, even this summer and last winter, as we all know, didn't end up going. And he's the one that breaks Spezia's home record this season. And so yeah, I want to ask you, Elia, because I was watching the second half. Spezia had some chances, and then Lapadula getting the red card totally changed the rhythm, and then Pittarello obviously scoring with a little bit. Like we were saying, Catanzaro is just one hell of a good team, and
it is
really tough to beat. Only 3 losses, 9-game winning, or not a winning streak, but 9-game undefeated streak. So tell us what happened in La Spezia. Is the feeling of automatic promotion over for you?
No, it's not. There are still 11 rounds to go, 33 points up to, for grasp. How do you say it? Up for
grabs, yeah.
Yeah, up for grasp. So it's still a very long way to the end of this exciting championship. I am okay, sooner or later it had to happen that Spezia get this reality check and comes back to lose at home. So I am accepting the fact that we lost with Catanzaro, because at least they are a good, solid team, protagonist of a good championship already last season, coming up from the Lega Pro. They were the revelation of the Serie B league, and this year they're confirming themselves to be a very solid team. Like if you look at the stats, which I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna pull them, but 20 shots for Spezia, only 3 on target. 11 shots for Catanzaro, 4 on target. So half the shots, they got more than we did on target and 1 goal. So we can't say that they didn't deserve the draw. Spezia was more dominant, but they had more ball possession. So it was a nice game to watch, and I'm sorry it ended the way it ended, but, we can't win them all. As you said, Catanzaro only 3 losses, just like Spezia. So they are a solid team, and it was good as, Sassuolo didn't, even that is funny, like Sassuolo wins with 3-4 goals of lead with anybody else, but they go to Genoa, they're facing Sampdoria, and it ends up being a draw, 0-0.
Do you hear that? Biscotto.
You said that, I didn't. Well, and then we see
it is quite it's strange because Sassuolo had, we're talking, they've been scoring goals for fun. This was actually the first time they've been shut out, kept off the board since they played Spezia in Reggio Emilia back all
You
the way
said
back.
it. It is strange, isn't it? It is strange.
Well, not much else to say there, but yes, obviously Cittadella losing to Modena 2-0 at the Tombolato. We could get into
Another home loss. What happened? I mean, Modena it's a solid team, but
we could talk all about this during the results because I kind of want to touch upon other results, especially we're at a stage in the season where I think these next 2 weeks are going to be very fundamental because this upcoming weekend we have Sassuolo Pisa, and then the following weekend, right before the international break, is Spezia Pisa at the Stadio Alberto Pico. So for the top two, I think this is a really important. I wouldn't say it's, well, I don't know. It could be season deciding because Spezia goes away on Friday to Bolzano in Südtirol, where Südtirol's been playing much better as of late. And then, you got Sassuolo Pisa, where as a Spezia fan, I think you got to say you have to be rooting for Sassuolo in that because I really don't see Sassuolo dropping below second place.
I agree. We are hoping that Sassuolo can get a legit win because if we were to draw, anybody would talk about Biscotto. And even if Pisa were to win in Reggio Emilia, it would make it look like that the two are want to escape on their own, but we'll see. Let's have fun and we'll see what happens. It was interesting, you said strange, but also the fact that every team that faces Pisa lately starts with 2 men less, meaning they have the referee on their side, and then the opposing team loses a man. So those are kind of coincidences that make us you want to ask yourself a few questions. But again, we talked about it on Monday about the difficult away game for Spezia in Bolzano. Südtirol has Castori as a coach, so it is historically a very difficult coach for Spezia. And since Castori came to coach the Bolzano's team, Südtirol would be 6th in the championship. They scored so many points since he came on board, basically, that they would be in the playoff zone. So before even talking badly about Pisa or focusing on the next round, there is a very interesting test for all the teams now. Only 11 games left. It is still quite a lot, 33 points, but at the same time, there's just a handful of games left. So it depends how you want to look at it. What do you think about it, Jake?
Yeah, well, I think this might play into Spezia's advantage, but they're playing on Friday night, so that's the only game on that night. So if they could just focus and get the job done. And if they do, they could sit back and relax and watch that Sassuolo Pisa game where, like I said, I think they have to be rooting for Sassuolo because I really, even if they lose that game, I don't see them dropping out of the top two. I think they have too much quality.
I agree. If Spezia does his job, which is winning, as Mr. D'Angelo said, if you enter the pitch with the sole intention of doing your best and winning, should you win, then whatever else the other teams do is none of your business. So just focus on that, and then you're making it difficult for the others. But you got to win first. Yeah. So you don't want to talk about Cittadella Modena? You want to talk about it later?
Well, I was just, I would get to the point when we would go over all the results because I have some other things to say about the past results on this match day. So I want to go ahead and look at it. And I kind of want to bring up the Pisa-Juve Stabia match that happened at the same time as the Cittadella Modena match because I had this game kind of on the side because, I like to watch, other teams, and Juve Stabia is actually the next opponent for Cittadella. And this was maybe I'd say the biggest match of the weekend besides maybe Sampdoria Sassuolo, just because Juve Stabia has been proving to everyone that they are legit and they are really a difficult game. And we said this was going to be a huge game for Pisa going into those two clashes against Sassuolo and Spezia in these next upcoming days. Juve Stabia going down to 10 men in the first half through a red card from Leonardo Candeloni. It was a VAR check. I don't know. I really don't know if this was a red card or not. He did come up, studs up. He was getting pulled back a little. but you could debate that. But actually, surprisingly, Juve Stabia taking the lead near the 60th minute through an own goal, and through 30 minutes left, Juve Stabia was winning. And Pisa get a penalty just a few minutes later. Was maybe, I see you smiling, Ilya.
I didn't even see the highlights. I don't want to know anything about it.
Well, unfortunately for you guys, I don't know if the Spezia faithful would be agreeing for that penalty, because it did not look like a lot of contact, but they convert. And then just 2 minutes later, there was an interesting case, because it's on a header from Mortan. The Juve Stabia keeper kind of had the ball right on the line. We didn't have really the best of angle, could have crossed the line. You don't have goal line technology, so we can't say much for that. And it was 2-1, and then Moreo scoring for 3-1 Pisa. So a very controversial game, I'd say, to say the least. I know in La Spezia, I don't think it went down well, just because they needed Juve Stabia to get a result. But
not even for the Juve Stabia supporters. But again, I didn't even watch the highlights, and I'm just happy to listen to your understanding, your perception of what happened, in light also of the fact that not only you're very knowledgeable about Serie B, but it comes from an American point of view. So what do you think about these episodes that, as you well know, seem to happen always toward the most crucial part of the championship, being Serie A or Serie B? What is your opinion on this Italian system, let's say?
No, honestly, me quite on the spot. But no, I don't believe in all this. Like you said, the favorable results and lucky calls. Yeah, maybe sometimes the bigger teams maybe get more favorable calls than other. But there's really, I don't think it's anything.
Not purposely, no, not on purpose. That's your opinion.
No.
Okay, perfect.
But I do think the referee did make a mistake in this game. I don't think it was a penalty, and the goal line technology, I really don't know. So this was, pretty much a heroic effort from Juve Stabia. They were winning down to 10 men. So Cittadella, I think, is very, very scared to go down to Castellammare di Stabia this weekend. But
they're a very good team. They're like the Catanzaro of last season, newly promoted and doing awesomely, steady on the playoff area. Not like Mantova, who started very nicely and now they are in the second half of the table, or Cesena, that's performing well but not as convincingly as Juve Stabia. Anyhow, as you were suggesting, let's pull out the results of the 27th round. And go ahead. By the way, no, seriously, thank you for sharing your honest perception of things from, abroad. For me, I grew up in this system, and it's difficult to believe that all the money, all the economic interests don't have an influence in the results. But again, it's refreshing to see that coming from an ascetic
I think it's all about perspective, because
exactly.
If you're a Spezia fan, you're seeing this Pisa result and some of the other calls they've had this season, and you're getting angry because it feels like all the results are going their way. And I think that's just one of those seasons where just you could feel it in the air that it's their year, kind of like similar to Inter last season when they won the Scudetto. Just everything kind of went their way with other results, with the calls they've been getting. It's just one of those seasons. So it's not really explainable, and maybe it's champions mentality. So Anyway, let's move
I agree.
on.
It's a matter of perception, most likely. I grew up in Italy in the years of Moggi in Juventus, that you got recordings of things moving around, and it's just then difficult to believe that these things have ended. But anyhow, carry on with the results, as you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like we were saying, Sampdoria Sassuolo, a goalless draw. Sassuolo failing to score for the first time since September, that draw against Spezia. You get a draw or you get a point for this.
Here comes my experience. They
Yeah.
can't let all the debt of Sampdoria go unpaid in the Lega Pro.
Here we go again. Oh boy, Elia. Okay, well, Cittadella Modena. Okay, finally we've reached Cittadella. Let me explain some things. Yeah, it was. Let me be honest. It was not a good performance from Cittadella. It was now the third straight home defeat. And actually, in my podcast that I recorded yesterday, and in an article that I just released on cheatthecalciousa.com, I could say that their home struggle is really not helping them in the race to Salvezza, because if you look at their away points, it's actually pretty good. It's 19 points. I think the fifth best in the league. But at home, they're the worst. Only 11 points, 2 wins. 2 wins really since last year at this point.
Literally the worst of the league at home?
Yes. At
Wow.
home, the worst in the league with only 11 points scored and only 2 wins. It's really unexplainable just how, flat they look at home. And they were coming off a result in Catanzaro, maybe a little harsh given the way they've been playing, or they played in that game. Only, a defensive mistake made the difference. But, nonetheless, you want to get a response in this game against Modena, who had been also not great on the road. Only 1 win going into that game for Modena on the road.
So you said it already, unexplainable. But if you were to pinpoint a reason, like is normal. I mean, Cittadella is notorious not to have too much too much pressure on the players. So how come they just can't perform at home as they do away, for example?
I think, just it's gone to a point where it's just there's just a lot of pressure now to perform at home. It seems like going from the eight straight losses last year, that kind of just placed what we're seeing today is just really a nervous team when they play at home and when they're expected to at least get points. And then when they go away, they kind of have nothing else much to lose. They're playing.
Nobody's expecting them to do God knows what, and so they can play more freely.
Yeah, maybe. And
makes sense.
It's just this performance. It's happening too much this season, and I think that's the concerning part, where you're seeing just the team kind of easily be defeated. I mean, it really didn't look like much that Cittadella was going to score in this game. It was just far too comfortable for Modena in this match. And we've seen it this year against Cesena at home, where Cittadella were comfortably defeated. In Spezia, the 5-0, the Sassuolo game, the 6-1. It feels like 3-0 against Caradese. It's just too easy for Cittadella to be beaten, which really is contrary to what we've been seeing in these last few years, where even if Cittadella are going to lose, they're going to go out with a fight, and they're always going to make it difficult. It just seems like we're not seeing that consistently this year, and I think that's the worrying part. And looking forward ahead, there is 11 games remaining in the season. Cittadella currently just above the relegation zone with 30 points.
Yeah, I was checking that. 14 plays with 30 points.
Yeah, we've been saying that 45 points should get us over the line. That's usually enough to guarantee yourself another
But
place.
that's basically scoring almost half of the remaining points.
That's about 5 wins. 5 wins. And they have currently, Cittadella has, let's see, I think it is 6 home games remaining, and 4 of them are direct clashes. The next home game is against Südtirol. Then, it's at home against Sassuolo, okay? But then in April, starting off with Caradese at home, then it's Salernitana at home. Then on May 1st, it is Cittadella Brescia, and then they wrap up the season at home against Bari, which should be in the playoffs. So I wrote in the article, and I said on the podcast, that really I think the Salvezza, the road to safety, is going to have to come through home, and Cittadella's got to find a way, because I don't think they could rely as much on the road getting these wins, and they got to beat their relegation opponents at home.
Best of luck. Best of luck. Yeah, it's still a hard road. Difficult
Yep,
road.
we'll see. Anyhow, Mantova, Bari getting a win. Mantova is quite in free fall at the moment. They're not winning much and currently in the relegation playout zone. Reggiana Cadarese back in fourth game, 2-2. Reggiana coming back twice and getting a result that leaves me at 1 point, my first point of the weekend. Then Pisa Juve Stabia, we already touched upon that. Pisa getting the win. I get an easy point for that. Cremonese Cesena scoring in the last minute, 0 points for us. Cremonese continuing to be inconsistent as we've been seeing over these last few weeks. Spezia Catanzaro getting a win, 0 points for either of us. And then Brescia Südtirol 0-0 draw. I get 1 point for that. Cosenza Palermo 3-0 to Palermo. It's really looking like a very dire situation for Cosenza, they've sacked Alvini today. I saw. So Alvini is no longer the coach of Cosenza. Get a point for that. Yeah, I know, Elia. If Alvini was the coach of Spezia, and you were very sympathetic to him. If you
I'm sorry for him at a human level too. Like, anyhow,
that's the Cosenza situation. Salernitana Frosinone, this was a direct clash. I think it's a result that doesn't really favor either team. We could say it's a biscotto. I don't think it is a biscotto because both teams
No. They just agreed upon it.
No, I don't. I think both teams really needed a win, and I think this result doesn't do any team good.
No.
I mean, probably
it doesn't hurt either, but it doesn't help anybody. Yeah.
Frosinone only has 4 wins all season, and they are really in 19th place. They got to step it up. So the final points tally of this.
Oh
wow! I actually scored. It's all tied up again. 11 games to go.
It's seriously very close. It's seriously, we're great. We're great. At least, we're not great because we're not scoring much. Like our average is 3.81. But it's good that we are so close, toe-to-toe till the end. Is that how you say, toe-to-toe?
Yes. Yeah.
So
wow,
it's fun.
Exact same point average, too.
Right. So this is not round 2, of course. It's going to be round 28 that we're going to be making our predictions on. I had the block number on program. Okay. So whenever you want, we can start with the predictions on the upcoming round number 28.
Südtirol Spezia. Oh my.
Shall I start?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I think you started last time. That's why I don't always want to throw you under the bus. It's okay. The pressure is on, but I'm happy to start. If you want to.
No, you go start because we're talking about Spezia.
So we talked about it with a lot of supporters right after the game. Spezia is at the end lost the undefeated track record at home after almost 1 year. So we scored only 2 points in the last 3 games, drawing in Modena and drawing at home with Palermo before losing to Catanzaro in the most recent round. So I was asking a lot of supporters that were at the stadium, and even after this live, I'm going to be live with Enrico Lazzari of Spezia Calcio News. My concern is Spezia players, the squad has always been performing well. Yet the result, we played very well at home with Palermo. We played a very good first half in Modena. With Catanzaro, we at the very least, the draw would have been well deserved. So I'm afraid that the team might start to not only feel the pressure, but might start to lose some morale because they're really playing their hearts out, but the results are not coming as easily, let's say, as they used to come in the first part of the season. I asked other fans what their opinion is, and nobody's worried. But if we don't win in Bolzano, it's going to be a very difficult end to this season. Of course, playoffs at this point might seem like a done deal, but not quite, because right after us, Catanzaro is running, Cremonese has been there till the beginning of the season. So I think we have to readjust our priorities. Not only start to, everybody's talking about chasing Pisa, but we got to watch out from who's coming from behind. So I want to predict optimistically a 2 between Südtirol and Spezia, because this has to be the game that relaunches the ego. But should we not win, it's going to start, to be uncomfortable for the expectation that we started, that the whole ambiente started to have in light of the performances of the team. So it's a 2 for me, but with great hope more than with, a certain prediction, let's say. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Spezia needs this game because, like we said, Pisa has 2 huge games coming up. One first against Sassuolo and then against you guys at the Stadio Alberto Pico. So I think it is still, yes, once again, like we said, like still early, but if they drop points in this and then fail to beat Pisa, they could find themselves, maybe 10 points adrift from second place. And you're thinking it's probably unlikely that
at that point
we'll get it. So I think it's trying to chase down second place, but also to lock up that third place, because if they get third place, they'll have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs.
And we will be skipping a few games, if I'm not mistaken, too. So only playing the final.
Yeah, you get an automatic buy into the semifinals. And right. I think really we've seen how much of a fortress the Stadio Alberto Pico was, in disregarding that Catanzaro game. But, Südtirol has been playing much better, like we said, under Castori. I think just Spezia, it's just, I think they're starting to feel a little bit of the pressure in this game. February has not been a nice month for them. Only 1 win, and that win came against Cittadella out of all teams. But 2 draws in a row, then the loss. I think it's starting to maybe get into the players' minds a little bit. For this reason, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say a 1. I think Südtirol is going to pull off a shock win, probably a 2-1 win. But
let me add to my prediction only the fact that if Südtirol were to come to Spezia, they would actually, that's what Ernesto Azzarini said last night on the live we had with the guys of the ASC and Co. He said if Südtirol were to come into Spezia, they would play a very defensive game, which would be very difficult for our Spezia to breach through, as we did with Bari. So a draw could be more likely. But since we're playing in Bolzano and Südtirol is performing better, so they got some momentum, they got some conviction as well. They're in a healthy mindset, and they have to consolidate their position in the second half of the table. It means that they're going to be playing a more open game, which could turn to be to the advantage of the Eagles, that facing a more open team can, have the possibility to score. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting game also because it's the first game of the round, so it's going to be the only game on Friday, which leads us to the next prediction of the first game of, one of the games of Saturday, Cesena-Salernitana. Jake, you're up.
Ooh, okay. So let's see. You kind of distract me there.
Sorry.
Salernitana getting the draw against Frosinone. They are in desperate need of a win. They're playing a Cesena side who have kind of regained some form after, that winter slump where they went a lot of games with losses. But now they got the draw against Pisa. They won away in Cremonese and got the away win against Reggiana. So they are in better form as of late. For this, playing Salernitana, I'm going to say 1 for this to play it a little safe, but I could see anything in this.
I agree. I don't know if Salernitana drawing with Frosinone is any signal of a sort of a comeback or relaunching the expectation of an easier end of the season. Just Cesena, newly promoted, a lot of enthusiasm. They are in 8th place, leading by 2 points. Palermo, which is in 9th place. So relating in the past with the journalists from Cesena, they're a solid ownership as well. They really want to achieve at least playoff spot. So I must agree with your prediction. It's a 1 for me on this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Juve Stabia Cittadella, Jake. It's gonna. You said it all already. It's gonna be an extremely difficult game for Cittadella, especially in this situation. 2 consecutive losses, 2 wins, and 1 loss in between in the last 5 games for Cittadella. Not in the greatest of form, and Juve Stabia has a lot at stake. They just lost the game, and as newly promoted, just like Cesena, they want to finish strong and stay up there. 6th place for Juve Stabia, 39 points. So it's right behind Cremonese with 41 and follows Catanzaro with 42. So with a win, they could actually be in the 4th place. So I think Juve Stabia Rome is really difficult for any team, and it's a 1 for me on this one, Jake.
Yeah, this is Juve Stabia. I wrote this, or I said this in the podcast, where they've really given the top 3 teams, Spezia, Pisa, and Sassuolo, all a run for their money. This may be an exception to the home game against Spezia, where they lost 3-0. But both times against Sassuolo, they've been in the game. They were unlucky to not get a result in both.
Spezia
Pisa.
had a penalty during that game as well. It wasn't an easy game for like a 3-0, make it look like Spezia really dominated the game. Mm-hmm. It was a very nice game. It wasn't an easy game, and the 3rd goal arrived right at the end of the game. So it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody down there.
I think they're going to be a bit fired up after that Pisa performance, because maybe they'll feel like they were a bit robbed in that.
Right.
I checked the forecast in Castellammare di Stabia, which is kind of a tongue twister for me, like as a native English speaker, Castellammare di Stabia. If I'm saying it correctly, please.
No, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, it is scheduled to be raining during the game, so the rain and the
synthetic
grass,
field,
the turf field could play a factor in this, because the ball might skip differently or whatnot.
Definitely will. It definitely will. Probably much faster. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how much of a thing could that make a difference. We know that Cittadella is a different team on the road. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from, because in these last games, even in the game against Pisa, they didn't really look threatening, and it might just take one chance, one set piece for Pandolfi or Cuonco to score in this. So I don't really know where the goals are going to come from. So I'm going to say 1 for this. I think it's going to be a 3rd straight loss for Cittadella.
I'm sorry. Yeah, hopefully at least a draw, but it is difficult, and they got a lot to, as you say, after the Pisa game, a lot to play for. Carrarese Cremonese, Jake, you're up.
Cremonese dropping to 5th place following that result in Catanzaro's victory. Carrarese, let's see what they got a draw, and then they got another win against Salernitana. So they're lifting themselves slightly above the relegation zone, but not by much. So they're kind of still seeking to get a little bit of form back after those 5 straight defeats. So for this, I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to put my first draw of the weekend, just because I can't trust Cremonese quite well. And Carrarese, I think they'll get a draw at home.
All right. I agree with you not trusting Cremonese, but I don't see them not. Yeah, I don't know for what reason, but it's a strong 2 for me on this, and I might be wrong, of course. But yeah, Carrarese is not in the greatest of shape, even after the most recent victory. Yeah, I just think Cremonese now can draw. Now they lost the 4th position to Catanzaro, so they have even more on the line, even more at stake. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a 2 for me on this one. Frosinone Mantova. Frosinone, newly promoted, a draw. I did not foresee Frosinone struggling this much. They're sitting in 19th place with 24 points, followed only by Cosenza with 21. 3 consecutive draws and 2 losses in the most recent games, in the last 5 games. while Mantova, as you say, has been kind of dropping like a rock. Only 2 draws in the last 5 games and 3 losses. So this is looking like a very interesting relegation fight. So maybe how is Frosinone performing at home? Do they perform better at home?
They're not good at home. I was just about to say that similar to Cittadella, they're the second worst home team. Only 13 points, 2 wins, 7 draws, 5 losses at home. So they are not great at home either. And
all right.
Yeah.
So in light of the fact that I predicted 2 2s and 2 1s, I'm gonna predict an X on this one. That's it. Jake.
Yeah, Frosinone they can't buy a win at the moment. They haven't won since Boxing Day, which was a 2-0 victory against Salernitana. Mantova, like we've been saying, have been just kind of in free fall at the moment. Only 1 win since December 21st, and that win came against Frosinone, and the other win came against Cittadella, obviously. So not... they're not great at away because they only have 1 win away. And of course, that win came against Cittadella at the Tombolato. So Mantova is one of those teams where they're sticking to their principles. They know how to play. They're going to possess the ball, but what they do with that possession is what makes the difference in this.
Indeed.
I can't see Frosinone winning, and I don't know if Mantova has enough to win on the road. So I'm going to have to agree with you again. I think this is going to be a draw.
All right. Sassuolo, Pisa. You got this one?
Yeah, the biggest match probably of the season so far, maybe since Boxing Day when these 2 teams faced each other. Look, I think it's going to be different. I think Sassuolo came into that game against Pisa kind of flat-footed and not expecting that Pisa team. I think they'll be much more prepared this time in Reggio Emilia. Pisa has a chance to really cement themselves and put themselves in a really good position going into the international break, that game in La Spezia the following weekend. I'm going to say a draw on this, not because this is a biscotto or anything, but I just think both teams can't separate each other. Pisa, I think, or I don't know. It's just it's difficult because I don't see Pisa losing, and I just can't see Sassuolo losing to Pisa once again for the second straight time this season. I think they have learned their lesson, so I think a draw is going to be the fair result.
So Pisa Sassuolo ended 3-1, as you were reminding us, on Boxing Day, so exactly 2 months ago. Was Tramoni, Touré Tramoni, and Pierini for Sassuolo. We are here to share our opinions, regardless of what anybody else might think. So, of course, being a Spezia fan, I would like Sassuolo to win. They're playing at home. They are, as I see it, a better team. They play better soccer, and they have lost to avenge. Is that what you say?
Avenge, yeah.
Avenge, thank you. But in light of what I believe around the system, I foresee a draw for different reasons from yours. So it's an X for me on this one as well. Catanzaro-Reggiana. Catanzaro-Reggiana. Catanzaro is a strong team. I can tell you that. And Reggiana is sitting in 13th place with 30 points. Going back from the most recent game to the furthest out, 2 draws, 2 losses, and 1 win for Reggiana. So it's not in the greatest of shape. And Catanzaro, only positive results, 4 wins and 1 draw. Unbelievable. Catanzaro is going to be in this one. They're going to play at home. They have a great fan base. They really believe that they can do awesome things even this year, and I think they will. So it's a one for me on this one. Too difficult for Reggiana to come back with points from Catanzaro, I think.
Yeah, this Catanzaro is in great form, like we've been saying. 9 games undefeated. Really only 1 loss since the end of September, believe it or not.
With Spezia. At home with Spezia.
Yes, which is looking to turn out to be quite a result for Spezia. in that game in December. So
Mhm.
this is the easiest result to say would be a Catanzaro victory. However, I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to actually say a draw in this.
All
I
right.
think Catanzaro, they'll maybe relax a little bit after that Spezia defeat. They had two, really back-to-back grinded out results against Cittadella and Spezia.
And sorry if I interrupt, we got to take into account also all the yellow cards. So a lot of players might not be available for this game. I'm not sure about it, but there were like 7, I don't know how many, like 10 yellow cards, 5 and 5, and 2 red cards, 1 per each team. So that might play as well. Go ahead, sorry.
Possibly, but I think Reggiano will get the point. Probably it's going to be maybe a high-scoring game, like 2-2, I'm going to say.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. Absolutely, could be. Palermo-Brescia, Jake. What are your thoughts?
Palermo getting that much-needed big win in Cosenza. However, let's see if they could do it against Brescia team, who is, I'm looking at the recent
12 plays,
results.
30 points.
Yeah, only one win since the start of November for Brescia, who they haven't been losing many games, but they've been drawing a lot and not winning a lot. So I can't really see them going into Palermo and getting a result. So I'm going to say a 1 for this.
All right. Yeah, well, for my prediction at the beginning of the season, so Palermo is one of the main protagonists of the season, and yet they're there, more unreliable than Cremonese, allow me to say, because, it's very difficult to predict the results of either teams. They won away with Cosenza, which should have been like a walk in the park for a team structured as Palermo. I think Poyampalo scored, which is a very, very big addition to the squad already. And Brescia this season is not particularly impressing me. So they might actually get the second consecutive win. And now winning at home would also do well for the fan base. So I agree with your prediction. A 1 for me on this one also. And then we come to Modena Cosenza. So I saw how much Spezia struggled in Modena. And then Modena won away with Cittadella as well. So I think they are starting to taste the possibility to actually not only comfortably avoid relegation, but try to make a run for one of the playoff spots, which I'm sure they will be up for grasp until the very end of the season. So also in light of how poorly the Cosenza has been performing, although the new coach, as you said, might have a play, always energizing the team or playing exclusively not to lose this game, I think Modena is going to win this one as well. So a lot of 1s for me on this round, but Modena Cosenza 1 for me.
Yeah, I have not predicted a 2 in this. Like you said, I've been predicting a lot of 1s and X's. I think now that Cosenza might get that new manager push a little bit in this game, for whatever reason, I'm just going to say a 2. Why not?
All right. I like when we disagree for the sake of our game. So I appreciate your boldness. Is that you say, when you're bold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see if Cosenza could pull off another miraculous comeback at the bottom.
Yeah, hey, as we always say, as we learned from Antonio Palopoli, the wolf never dies. Indeed. Go ahead.
The final game of this Bari-Sampdoria, the two Gemellaji teams, they have a strong friendship, a strong bond. So this is quite a friendly game, as you say.
A friendly game?
Yeah, because there's no animosity between the two teams. But Bari proving themselves like a solid candidate for the playoff spots, as they are currently 7th place, getting that win in Mantova. Sampdoria, they've been struggling, but they got wins against Cosenza and Modena, losing in Bolzano, but they got a draw against Sassuolo. As much as Elia likes to wonder about that, but let's see if Simplici could get another win. They did win here last season off a late win in Bari, kind of similar similar time of year around in March that kind of started to push them towards the playoff spots. I actually think this is going to be another win for Sampdoria. They drew earlier in the season, and they've actually not lost to Bari since, I can't see much into the past, but in the last, let's see, 7 games, Sampdoria has not lost to Bari. So I'm actually going to predict a 2.
All right.
Yeah, surprise result for Sampdoria, who, let's see, they have not won on the road since October when they defeated Cesena.
I think Cosenza winning and Sampdoria winning are both predictions. I respect that. You go, Jake. You go. I like it. I like it. So as far as I'm concerned, Bari Sampdoria, I don't see Sampdoria winning. I'm sorry. Like either Bari wins because it's a better team, better shape. They got a lot to fight for being in the playoff spots, or maybe Sampdoria can manage to draw so that, they can stay afloat right above the very uncomfortable spot. So if it were a double 1x, but since I have to pick only one, I'm going to say it's an X for me on this one, right. In light also of ice conspiracy theories. So anyhow, this concludes. Say it again.
Oh, your conspiracy just never dies with this.
I enjoy it too much. Anyhow, this concludes our predictions for the upcoming 28th round of Serie B League. If you would like to find out how well we did, and if you would like to share with us your thoughts about what happened in the past round and predict with us the next round, we will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. CET as usual. Jake.
Yes, you could follow both of our channels, Elia the Italian Guy, on YouTube, Instagram, and as well as for me, Cheetah Calcio USA, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and cheetahcalciousa.com for articles, news. You got it there, all of that there. And we're 1 game away from being exactly 10. We're kind of coming to the final stretch of Serie B. So we're going to be talking all about it from here until the end. So thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. And as always, we will be speaking Serie B.